Heracles has already survived 6 impossible tasks. He strangled the Nemean lion, slain the Hydra, and cleaned out the Augean stables. But the world's strongest man is still trapped in servitude, completely physically drained, and his cowardly taskmaster, King Eurystheus, refuses to let him rest. The king immediately orders Heracles straight back to work. These new demands are no longer local monster hunts around Greece. The remaining labors will drag Heracles across the map, escalating into global, diplomatic, and even cosmic challenges. To make matters worse, the gods are watching. Hera, the queen of the gods, is actively monitoring his progress, searching for any opportunity to rig the rules against him. Heracles is about to embark on a journey that will force him to conquer the very edges of the universe and death itself. Yet his most brutal trial will ultimately require no physical strength at all. The 7th labor forces Heracles further afield than before. He sets sail to Crete. His target is a massive, earthquake-causing bull sent by the sea god Poseidon to trample the island. He wrestles it into submission and ships it back. Instantly, he's sent in the opposite direction. His 8th labor takes him north to warlike Thrace. Here he has to capture 4 totally uncontrollable, man-eating horses belonging to King Diomedes. For his 9th labor, Heracles pivots to diplomacy. He travels to the shores of the Black Sea to obtain a precious, jewel-studded belt from Hippolyte, the queen of the Amazons. Using his charm instead of his club, he actually convinces the warlike queen to hand it over peacefully. This carved marble relief of a Greek warrior fighting an Amazon shows what happened next. Hera decided the mission went too smoothly. Tricking the guards into thinking Heracles was kidnapping their queen, she triggered a panic, forcing him into a violent battle he never wanted. Look at this arid, rocky expanse. This is the Libyan desert, the setting for his extreme 10th task. Heracles has to cross this scorching African landscape to steal the cattle of Geryon, a monster with 3 heads and 3 bodies. The punishing heat of the desert becomes so intense that Heracles, out of sheer frustration, fires a poison arrow directly up into the sun. Instead of angering the sun god Apollo, this brazen act actually impresses him, and Apollo gives Heracles a golden cup to cross the sea. He dispatches the 3-headed Geryon easily enough, but Hera intervenes one last time. She sends a gadfly to torment the captured cattle. They stampede, and Heracles is forced to spend an entire year rounding the herd back up. Through physical endurance and relentless persistence, Heracles completes 10 seemingly impossible, globally distributed tasks, fighting both the monsters and the constant interference of the gods. But when he returns to demand his freedom, King Eurystheus betrays him. The king declares 2 of the previous tasks invalid on technicalities, claiming Heracles had help with the Hydra and was paid for cleaning the stables. He arbitrarily moves the finish line. The 11th task is a step up in scale. Heracles must find the divine golden apples of the Hesperides. These apples grow in a hidden garden and are guarded by an immortal 100-headed dragon. A river nymph advises him not to fight the dragon, but to find Atlas. Atlas is the giant titan who literally holds up the sky. He is the father of the nymphs who tend the garden, making him the only entity capable of simply walking in and retrieving the apples. Heracles offers to hold the sky while Atlas fetches the fruit. The giant gladly accepts the break, but when he returns, he refuses to take his heavy job back. So Heracles asks Atlas to hold the sky just for a second so he can adjust his cloak. When the naive titan takes the weight, Heracles grabs the apples and runs. Heracles walked away with the apples, leaving a titan holding the literal weight of the world. It was a victory won not through muscle, but by exploiting a god's own eagerness to escape. Only one task remains. Eurystheus orders Heracles to go to the underworld and bring back Cerberus, the guard dog of the dead. This is a journey no living mortal can make and return from. Instead of launching a brute force invasion, Heracles prepares. He seeks out an initiation into the cult of the dead to learn the mysteries of Hades and find the cave leading to the Styx. This piece of black figure pottery depicts what happens next. Heracles negotiates directly with Hades, who agrees to lend him Cerberus, if Heracles can overpower the three-headed dog without using any weapons. Using only his bare hands, he wrestles the fierce beast into submission. We see here the massive stone blocks of the Lion Gate at Mycenae. This represents the stronghold of King Eurystheus. When Heracles arrives at these gates and presents Cerberus, the terrified king finally admits defeat. Heracles fulfills his obligations and earns his long-awaited liberty. Heracles has now officially conquered every boundary of the known universe, including death itself. His epic triumph is complete, but Hera isn't finished. She convinces the gods that a mortal who can conquer the underworld will become arrogant and pose a threat to Mount Olympus. They decide he must be immediately humbled. The gods strip Heracles of his hard-won freedom and enslave him for an additional year. This time his master is Omphale, the mortal queen of Lydia. This new enslavement is deeply claustrophobic. Queen Omphale forces the strongest man in the world to wear women's clothing and sit on the floor at her feet, while she sits on the throne wearing his legendary lion skin and holding his club. His giant feet split her shoes, and her belts burst around his waist. The queen constantly mocks his clumsiness. When she forces him to recount the stories of his epic labors, she simply laughs at him, subjecting the great hero to profound psychological humiliation. Physical strength could topple walls or chain Cerberus, but it couldn't fight a god's caprice. For Heracles, the true test of his character lay in the silence and submission of Lydia, outlasting a deep humiliation that he couldn't simply crush with a club.